Now in Linux, guys, we have what we have. You can say two components. All right. So Linux file system consists of two components. That is, it it's consists of two components. That is, we have kernel and user space. We have kernel space and we have user space. All right. So kernel mode is having what? It's having hard disk, your master boot record, that is MBR, your boot sector, your NTLDR, and your operating system. So kernel space will be including what? It will be including your hard disk. All right. The hard disk, it will be including your MBR or GPT. All right. I'm writing MBR in capital letters. Then we have we have what we apart from MBR, it will be including boot sector. It will be including NTLDR. All right, and it contains operating system. Whereas your user space contains what? It contains applications. All right, so that is what, that is the kernel mode and user mode of the Linux file system. All right, then the file system that is used in Linux is different from your, you can say, from your Windows, because in Linux we have hierarchical file system. Right, hierarchical means that at the very top you'll be having root. Inside root directory you will be having other directories, like you will be having home, dev, you can say where. All right, like this. Inside it you will be having what? You will be having other directories. So the root directory will be the topmost. Below it you'll be having other directories. Below these directories you'll be having what? You will be having further directories and files. All right, so that is what, that is hierarchical system. In Linux machines we use Word, and Linux operating system we use Word, we use FX, you can say FHS, that is file system hierarchy standard. All right, FSH is used, file system hierarchy standard, and the file system that we use is extended file system. So the first file system that was introduced for Linux was EXT, extended file system. All right, later on it was changed to EXT2, then it was changed to EXT3, and the latest one is EXT4. EXT4. Now what is the difference, guys? EXT4, all right, that is extended file system, comes with a journaling system. All right, journaling system. Now what is journaling system? What do you mean by journaling system? See what happened, guys, till EXT3. Let's suppose in your server you have done what, you are using Linux as an operating system. All right. Now the server you turned it on. The you can say server was running on. Suddenly it got switched off, or something went wrong. Now, guys, what happened in EXT, EXT2, EXT3 is the files that were opened during the previous process, all right, they will not be marked. And second time when you will be again opening the server, all right, you will again power on the server, the initiation process will start from the beginning. Even those files that were turned on in the previous, you can say, step will again turn on. So it will be consuming a lot of time. So that, to remove that particular thing, we have introduced the term that is journaling. Journaling means that, let's suppose you turn on your server, and server while turning on is, you can say, it executed certain services. Now those services will be saved. All right, now if unfortunately the server will be down, so what will happen in that case is, even if the server will be down in that case, all right, if you will be turning it on again, so the services, some of the services will be marked as complete, and the services which were not executed, they will be marked as pending. So in this time, in this case, in journaling type of systems, all right, only those services will be turned on that are pending. Rest other services are already on. All right, so this will be saving a lot of time. All right, so that is why we are using ext4, that is using journaling system. Same method is used in Mac operating system, but the file system is different. So in Mac operating system, guys, in Mac operating systems, the file system that we use is HFS. That is, we have HFS and HFS plus, and we have one more, that is HFS plus journaling. All right. So HFS stands for hierarchical file system. In Mac operating system also the file is in hierarchical format. So we have what we call it as hierarchical file system. In the beginning, when HFS and HFS plus were used, all right, over there again journaling concept was not there, but later on we developed journaling system for HFS file system. So journaling do what, guys? It restores the volume structure to a trustworthy state without scanning all of the structures. That is the benefit of journaling. Then we have one more storage system that is known as RAID. It stands for a redundant array of independent disks. So your RAID is what, guys? It's combination of several disks together. So we have what, guys? We have RAID, various kind of RAID storage systems. We have RAID 0, all right. We have RAID 0. We have RAID 1. We have RAID 5, and we have RAID 10. We have others also, RAID 3, RAID 6. I'm just explaining an important one. RAID 0, first of all, we'll be talking about. So RAID 0 is known as stripping. All right. RAID 1 is known as mirroring. All right. RAID 5 is known as parity bits. It used parity bits. All right. And your RAID 10 is a combination of, all right, RAID plus RAID 0. So we are going to talk about first stripping. So in this, you will be having what? You will be having, you can say disk, all right. You are having two disks, all right. That is disk 1 and disk 2. So these disks are over here. So in RAID 0, you'll be doing what, guys? You'll be having two disks, and you will be saving the data in both the disks simultaneously. Some data you'll be storing here, some data you'll be storing here. All right, in the form of strips. This is disk A, this is disk B. Now, guys, the benefit, the advantage of RAID 0 is read and write operations are very fast. All right, this is the advantage. Read and write operations are very fast, but the disadvantage is it's not fault tolerant. If this disk gets failed, if this disk A will get failed, then disk B will be of no use, because some data is here, some data is here. So without this data is of no use. All right. So disk 0, you can say RAID 0, which is disk stripping. All right. It provides faster input output operations, but it is not fault tolerant. One. All right. Then we have another one, guys, that is disk mirroring. Now, what is disk mirroring? Now, in disk mirroring, you will be having what? In disk mirroring, you will be having 4 disks. All right. For this disk, you will be having one more disk, and for this disk, it will be using one more disk. All right. Now, what will happen, guys, is, all right, what will happen is you will be writing down the data. So you'll wrote down the data in disk A. This is A. This is B. This is C, and this is disk D. So you will be writing the data in A. Whatever data you'll be writing in A, it will be copied, it will be mirrored. The exact mirroring will be done, and it will be stored in C. The same thing you'll be writing in B, and that particular thing will be saved in computer D. All right, disk D. Now, guys, it is called mirroring because the exact replica of A is done in C. Now, this is the advantage is it's fault tolerant. Why? Because if even this disk A will get failed, we have disk C, which have the exact replica of the data of A. So the advantage is that you can say it will be providing you fault tolerance. All right, it's fault tolerant. All right, but what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages, guys, first, that is, you can say if this disk is never failed, so this disk is of no use, right? Unless and until disk A is not failed, this disk is of no use. So may this RAID 1 is bit costly. Then we have third one, that is parity bits. So in this, what we'll be doing is, in parity bits, you'll be having what? You'll be having at least three disks. Minimum requirement is 3 disks. So you should be having at least 3 disks in parity bits. All right, in RAID 5. So I'm drawing 3 bits over 3 disks over here. This is disk A, this is disk B, and this is disk C. All right, we have A, B, and C. So what will happen, guys? As a parity, you will be saving contents of disk B and disk C in A. All right, that will be the combination of B and C. You'll be having combination of A and C. All right, in B, and you'll be having some data stored that is from A and B in C. Now, what will happen, guys? This is known as parity bit. All right, and why it is important, guys? The reason is if any of these disks will be failing, let's suppose disk C will be failing, even that also it will not be affecting much because we have data stored in A and B itself. All right, that is in form of parity bits. That's why RAID 5 is known as parity.
Yes.
Then we have the last one, guys, that is known as RAID 10. So it's combination of RAID 1, that is mirroring. So first you'll be performing the mirroring, and then you will be doing stripping of data. So by this, what is achieved? First, fault tolerance is achieved because you are using RAID 1, that is mirroring. And then you are using RAID 0, all right, that is for reading. We can say you'll be storing the data in step formats. So the input output operations will be very fast. So that's why we have what we generally use RAID 10 in most of the, you can say, organizations, because we achieve faster, you can say, input output operations, and at the same time you also achieve, you can say, fault tolerance. That is what we use in RAID storage system. Then we have next, that is file carving. File carving is what, guys? It is a technique to recover files and fragments of files from unallocated spaces of hard disk in absence of files metadata. Let's suppose the metadata of file is missing. So how you are going to recover that file? So we are going to recover that file using the method that is file carving. All right. So in this you will be doing what? You will be using headers or footers of the file. All right. And depending upon that, you'll be doing what? You'll be recovering the files. So under file carving, we have what? They have given you various file formats. You have to do what? You have to remember these file formats, guys. Okay, so I'm writing the file formats over here, and one question will be coming in exam for sure. For sure, one question will be coming. So I'm doing what? I'm going and I'm just writing it over here, guys. Please note it down. So the file carving, as I told you, all right, we have the technique to recover the files and fragments of files from the unallocated space of hard disk in absence of metadata. So various file formats we have JPEG. Or wait a minute, we have file format that is JPEG. All right, all right. We have JPEG. The, you can see the header, the hexadecimal header, all right, or the file header. All right, for JPG file is, always remember, is FFD8FF. It's always like this. The header of JPG file always starts with FFD8FF. Similarly, for your BMP files, all right, the, you can say, the format is, all right, it's 42 and 4D, all right, for BMP files. Then we have another one, guys, that is GIF, but GIF files, all right. So GIF files, the format is 47, 49, 46, and 38. All right, that is for GIF. For PNG
Format
file,
format means what? The header?
yeah, the header. When you will be
Okay.
opening it in hexadecimal, I'll be showing you later on. All right, I'll be showing you.
Okay.
So you'll be getting
Okay.
these headers, and just by seeing
Okay.
these headers, you can identify the file. Many a times it happens, guys, that attackers will be doing what? They will be changing the extension of the file. For JPG file, they'll be changing the extension and they'll be making it as PDF file. All right, so that they can bypass and they can make fool of the user. So if you are a forensic investigator, you can do what? You can directly check the hexadecimal value of the file, that is file headers, and depending upon that, you'll be doing what? You'll be getting an idea that what kind of file it is. So in case of your PNG files, all right, in case of PNG files, all right, PNG files, okay, the file format is header is, you can see 89, 50, 4E, all right, 4E and 47, all right. And then we have what we have next, that is PDF. So PDF includes what? It is 25, 50, 44 and 46. So this is for your PDF file. These formats you should be having in your mind. They should be remembered. All right. So these are the various file headers for various files. All right, file formats. All right, and we have what? We have certain tools that we use, all right, for performing, you can say, file analysis. So for analyzing the file system, we use a very important tool. So either you will be using SleuthKit, the UI version of SleuthKit is, or Topsy. All right, so these are the two tools that we used.